Oh, good morning, ladies and gentlemen. It's Sunday. It is 2 minutes past 9 on the 31st of May in the year of our Lord 2020. I'm just going to check that this stream is going out. We're going to be chatting mainly and predominantly today about America and why America finds itself in the situation it's in Minnesota and the tragic death of George Floyd a few days ago, where the man pleaded with his life and was shown no mercy whatsoever. It's funny. I'm a man that reads the scripture, and I try and live my life by the scripture, in fairness. It does say in there that all judgment must be done in mercy. Okay, all mercy. I didn't see none of that. There are a lot of people out there saying it was a set-up, etc., conspiracy. I'm not too sure about that. I mean, I have seen amateur footage of the event, and it's pretty hard to come to that conclusion for me. I mean, there are people that say, "Oh, this number plate, that," and I'm like, I'm not sure, man. I don't know about that. I really don't. I don't see any evidence that it was a conspiracy. Just a tyrannical man sat on a man, killing him. Donna Proctor, morning, Don. Nice to see you. Is something going on? Morning. A new subscriber, I do believe. New subscriber. Oh, nice to see you. Yeah, Donna Proctor. Morning, Dave. Are you okay? I'm loving that. Yeah, I'm good, Don. I'm not too bad. America is just kicking right off right now, and they got the National Guard in. The National Guard is in America, and my word, let me tell you, it's all kicking right off in the States. Right. So people sort of all wonder why stuff is going on. We'll get into some nuts and bolts in a little while. We're going to play some videos, some footage, some real time of what's actually going on out there right now. And let me just plug this in. That's better. Should start seeing a signal pop up there in a second. That's it. We're on. You should start seeing that now. Who else we got? We got Morning Dave. Is something going on? Yeah. See, all your comments are popping up. I'm going to be whacking them in to the chat room. I mean, I don't expect too many on this morning because it is quite early. Most people are probably still in bed. It's only 9:05. We're soon to be going into June. Beautiful time of the year, especially in England, especially where I live. I mean, cool. Kent countryside in the summer. No finer place to be in the world. Well, maybe apart from Bristol or some other fine part of the world, part of the country, but it is, you know. I myself have a fantastic life. I'm very fortunate to have that. So what I want to try and do, it's still receiving files. Let me see if I can, let's just shut that one down. I'm going to try and get into Facebook and see if we can find some real-time stuff that's going on. So just bear with me while we're having a little set. Just woke up. It's like the Med up north. It's beautiful, isn't it? It's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful time to be alive this time of year. So look, listen, everything what I do is for the interest of everybody. What do you make of the George Flynn thing? What do you make of it? Personally, for me, I see a man die at the behest of a public servant, especially when the Bible says all judgment must be made in mercy. I didn't see any mercy being afforded to George. Did you? Did anyone see any mercy? I never. Oh dear. Log in as. Let's have a quick. See if I can log in. If not, we'll just have to stick with YouTube this morning and see what's going on in America today. Yeah. No. Okay. Let's come out of that. Let's just go back to YouTube. Right. So you should be. Yeah, you are seeing YouTube up there. Right, so let's have a quick look at America this morning, ladies and gentlemen. Let's have a quick look. Actually, before I do that, let's come back into where Use Lovely Lots is. Right, so we're going to have a look at some comments here. Jason Wills thought it was always the plan to start civil unrest and bring in martial law, same as the Rick Mail film, One by One. Funnily enough, I was chatting a few days ago. Actually, we're finding the One by One. We will. We'll play a bit of that this morning. I was chatting with someone the other day, and I said to him, "Have you seen the Rick Mail film, One by One?" And they said, "No." I said, "Well, I played them the Jenga part where we can play that actually." We'll play that. We're gonna play a clip from One by One this morning. All right, the Rick Mail One by One, and touch wood. Thus far, I've not been. None of my live stream feeds have been pulled by YouTube because of copyright situations. Now, President Trump in the last few days has passed some stuff where he has fined and they've taken the liability away, right? All of these platforms like Facebook they've had an anonymity, a bit like the pharmaceutical industry where they've been voided from prosecution, which is a very dangerous thing, right? Because under tort law, there was a case years ago in this country where a gin manufacturer, it's actually a beer, I think it was a bottled beer factory, something happened and the conditions weren't fantastic and a few people died of a batch of beer. And under tort law, because of the harm inflicted on people, they died. And under tort law, they got prosecuted for it and sent to prison and stuff. So everyone should be liable for their actions and held responsible. What that does, that makes sure that we all try and do things proper. So Facebook, I think, have been fined £5 billion. Todd Church, yeah, I've seen Todd Church. Todd's a fantastic kind of guy. Oh, Anne-Marie, I want to apologise the other day for the abuse you took in the chat room. And thank you for sorting that out and keeping the chat room decent. Real big thank you for that. And God bless you. But now we find that these platforms, these social media platforms, especially Twitter, Donald Trump's got 50.5. Actually, we're trying to get into Twitter as well today on his account, and we'll see what's going on. He's got 50.5 million followers on Twitter, and he uses Twitter and his social media platforms. And this is his own government have turned around and said to see what's going on in the real world, right? Because Trump is quite interested in what's actually going on out there in the real world. They've had their anonymity lifted, and they're now and their liability is they have to stand. They're going to be held responsible. So I'm hoping that we start to see social media platforms fall into alignment and stop fact-checking. Now, the problem with fact-checking, you've seen all this thing popping up on all your media platforms. Alan Walker, gorgeous. Lovely to see you, man. Oh, it's Alan's in the room. Oh, it's lovely to see you, love. Big time. I love Al. I do. Mate, let me tell you. It's quite early. I'm just having a little ramble. but hopefully, fact checking is like we had an instance a few months ago in this country where a guy had been posting some stuff on social media, and he got paid a visit by the constabulary. Now, the constabulary themselves, they're far too busy to come out and deal with proper crime anymore, like little old deers being beaten at their own homes. Haven't really got the time for that. If you get burgled, no, we don't come out for burglaries anymore. You just ring your insurance company. Well, that's really not what you was established and based for. Now, the problem is, the reason why we're in all this quandary is because we have governments that don't work for the people. They don't work for the people. They're a private foreign corporation. They have no affiliation to the people. Now, when governments and that were firmly formed years ago, it was a people by the people government. And that's what the American Bill of Rights, we the people by the people, all men are created equal with certain unalienable rights, blah, 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 endowed by their creator. Exactly. But we don't have that now. In America, they have a federal government. That's a private corporation. All right. And now what happens is the federal seems to have taken over, and the people work, the minions work, and that's what the film The Minions was all about, right? Dave the Minion, he only had one eye. My glasses are a bit weird right now. So we have governments that don't work for us. They give the illusion that they work for us, but they don't. They don't work for us, okay? They're a private, well-established foreign corporation, and it's clear to see the courts say, oh, they're our court buildings. How dare you bring that into my court? And the police say, get out of the court. You're not allowed. Because they're a private alien foreign corporation. Peeps, you've got to understand this. You really have to understand that the government is not for you. It's not your established government by your people, for the people, right? They're just not. They really are not. And this is what we've got to get our head around, is the fact that they don't work for us. The DVLA, if you don't furnish them with the stuff that they need, which is pieces of paper, an MOT certificate, an insurance policy, a logbook, they claim to have the power to take it off of you. Why? Because they're a private foreign corporation. They're not for the people, by the people. I hope that makes sense. I really do hope that makes sense. Hey, I remember old Grotto. Who are we referring to? Grotto Bags. Who's Grotto Bags? Stevie Downs. Lovely to see you, love. Thanks for tuning in. It's Sunday morning. It is the, did I say 31st? Excuse me, a little bit of hay fever coming in. I might have to go shopping later and have a little hay fever attack. The track and trace. Let's have a little look at this. See if we can find this track and. I'm not swearing. No, I'm not. I'm not going to swear. Let's have a little look at this. So you should be seeing this pop up in your. Yeah, you can see this in your screen. Yeah, that's fine. Right. So let's have a little look. The Daily Telegraph. Right, NHS. I don't know if that was freezing up there a second. I'm just going to wait for the feed to sort of, that's it, right? We're kind of back. So I'm going to be sharing all your comments as well this morning, people, so that everyone out there that watches this can get a feel for what is going on in England, not just England, Europe, the whole Western world is under this this corporate paperwork dictatorship. Oh dear, you mentioned track and trace, and just like that, gone. Donna, can you just give me some 5v5s, people, in the chat room that you can? I'm just going to come back to the chat a second to see whether you can see me. Looks like track and trace is a freeze and feed statement. Can you still hear me? Hello, is it me you're looking for? Can you still hear me, ladies and gentlemen? Let's have a look. Okay, again now, right? 5v5, Tracy Pearson. Thanks, darling. Lovely to see you, Trace. Stuart James is saying okay. Big Merv, lovely to see you, gorgeous, you handsome dude. Oh, you, I tell you. I've got a big hug for you coming when we meet, son. Don't worry about that. Yeah, that's funny. It's okay again now, says Magpies 1862. I tell you what, Magpies, I hope that's not your date of birth. Kerry Roberts, 5v5, we're having a 55 here. I'll be 55 in a few years, Kerry. I know you're all sitting at home. That's just shock horror, isn't it? You can't believe that. Yesterday afternoon, we went down to Herne Bay. We had a lovely walk around Herne Bay yesterday. We had some chips. Do you know what, right? And this is what bothers me. We're in the middle of an epidemic, which I'm not seeing no evidence of, by the way. I'm not seeing any evidence of this. We went to the chip shop, and I said to my missus, what do you want, right? Because I went with my business. I got like a business partner and his missus and his family, and she said, I'll have a bit of fish. I said, do you want a bit of fish? She said, yeah, I'll have a bit of fish. Well, I looked at the menu, and a bit of cod, right? Bear in mind, a bit of cod's about this long, right? Straight off the wall. £6.50 of your finest English sterling notes. Well, they're not sterling notes, are they? I went, ooh. She went, what's that? I went, do you know a bit of cod, £6.50? She went, oh, I won't have that then. And it weren't the fact that I weren't going to get it for her, right? It was the fact that, what's that all about? Food's now a weapon. Food is now a weapon. It's Hunger Games. It is. When I was a kid, we never worried about food. We never worried about if we just, you never worried. It was the cheapest chips. Food was really, it was very affordable. Now it's kind of affordable if you're earning £1,000 a week, then you can put it into some kind of perspective. Because there are a lot of people out there that do earn, and I've been one over the years to sort of earn sometimes $2-3 grand a week. I have done easy, but I come out of that a little bit because I just thought to myself, well, it's all right for me having this luxury lifestyle, but where's everyone else at? All the people living in council flats and that. How are they going to afford £6.50 for a bit of cod? So that's why I try and reel it back, because I know that I have the power to either continue in this food fast, this food war, or say no thanks and just deny their thing and then go and buy fish and chips at my superstore at a reasonable kind of cost. UK Media, gorgeous. Hello, lovely to see you. Oh, he's got his double drag. He's got his flag out. So we're going to get into some nuts and bolts in a second here, people. Paulie Hart, hello, Gorge. Lovely to see you. We've got a very valid questions coming in here from Deb Stars. What's happening with Buckingham Palace? All boarded up and Gurkhas on guard. I don't know. I'm under the illusion that the Queen has moved out. Apparently, they've shipped them out for 10 years. There isn't a new king, Joe. I mean, I'm not treading on your cornflakes, but this Gregory Alec business is... Why would you want a new king? These people have been bashing us over the head for years. The royal family never done anything for us, ladies and gentlemen. Never. It's always been about subversion and beating you up. I wouldn't want a new king. I'd rather pay £6.50 for a bit of fish and chips down at the beach than have a new king. I'd rather go and buy that bit of cod than have a new king. Anyway, moving on swiftly. Is it something to do with the new king? Maybe. I just thought I'd put out. Beautiful smile there, Joanne. Beautiful, beautiful smile there. Yeah, lovely to see you all. Jason Wills has put, I think he's put a topical message up. He's retracted it. Jason's retracted his message this morning. He's a saucy boy. Are you back? You are back now, mate. Thanks, Don. Lovely to see you, Don, as always. And I hope you make sense of what I sent you via that email. Right, Don, before we crack on, what I will say, I sent you the blank copies of what I messaged you on Facebook via Messenger. Print them off, right? Fill them out as I've shown you how to fill out. Take the 206, right? Speaking in code language now. Take the 206 to your doctor. Just get them to put their stamp on it, all right? Because the doctor's an officer of the court, okay? He's the one that brings everyone into the world and kicks everyone out of the world, all right? I've got a death certificate. Need the doctor, right? I've come through blank. Yeah, you do. You need the blank ones to do them for yourself, but use the ones I emailed to you and sent. No, the one I did email you, the blank ones and the filled out ones from our friend Shawnee Boy. Copy what he's done. Put your thumbprints here. Do exactly the same in the ecclesiastical deed poll and do the same with the evidence of life. You don't have to do nothing with the deed poll. Take the evidence of life to your doctor. Just get them to stamp it, right? Maybe send it in to them and ask them just to stamp and witness and return it. They'll return it. And then what you do, you go to any lower court in your area. You take copies. You take the original, which you don't mess with. You make copies. You give them a copy. They stamp it and keep it on their record, right? It goes on the master file. And then you get them to stamp a copy, which you take home and keep yourself. You don't ever mess up the original. I'm just explaining this to Donna, right? Okay. And then what happens is that goes on your master file. And that corrects the SESKV trust. Because the SESKV, it means he who lives, all right? That's why you've all been dead, lost at sea. But this brings you back in to, I mean, Greg Elliott, we could have a chat about Greg Elliott, maybe. I don't particularly want to, but we can do. We certainly can, because I come in here for you guys. I don't come in here for my own benefit. I come in here for you. I really do. But once you've done that, it goes on your master file, Donna, and then you'll find that things will start working for you and that the police won't intercourse with you because you've actually proved that you're alive. Because when the police pull you over and do all this stuff to you, they're only administrating the trust, guys. You've got to understand this. And it's not personal. They just think everybody's dead. Oh, hit me mic. Do you think the murder is a false flag to create disorder, division, and martial law? Joanne, you know, in truth, I think it's a double-edged sword, right? I genuinely believe that George Floyd was murdered, all right? And I don't see a white man killing a black man. I see a bent copper killing a man. That's all I see. And they have a situation over there where they have a first and second and third degree murder, right? Now, there has to be intent for it to be a first degree murder. And the intent was clearly there because the copper intended to put his knee in to George Floyd. And America's a mess, by the way. We're going to get into that very, very shortly. His intent was to do what he did, and he didn't help the situation by putting his hand in his pocket and push down on his kneecap with more force with his shoulder and his body weight and whack it into the back of George's neck. Now, there are some symbologies, there are some things in there that one could say, well, it's conspiratorial. I can't even say the word this morning. So yeah, you could say that, but I think I witnessed that man die, see blood come out of his nose. He urinated himself. By the way, there wasn't just one copper set on George. There was 3. Whilst one kept lockout, there was kept dog eye with his weapons of mass destruction. Now, all judgment must be executed in mercy. That's what the Bible clearly gives them, and that's what they're mandated to do. I didn't see no mercy being shown because George pleaded for his life. And what was the crime? He was writing a bad check, apparently, in a superstore, in a store for maybe some food, some cigarettes. I don't know what he was up to, but he was up to say. Now, George Floyd was a rights activist. He'd been in trouble. Most people in America through disparity have been in trouble, right? And the same in this country. There's a lot of disparity going on. And people are lost, all right? We're a lost people. And we need to remedy that, okay? We really do. And so he wrote a bad check, allegedly, and the police were called. The shopkeeper called the police. Now, in George's wildest dreams, he expected probably when the police turned up to be taken down the station, etc. And he had a right to protest. Only there wasn't a crime. He'd just written a bad check. And that's what I'm saying. Food is now a weapon. All right. Even in the schools, with kids can't have school meals unless this. It's a weapon. We never worried about that when we was at school. If you didn't have money to pay for a school meal, the dinner lady would see you and go, "Oh yeah, I have a plate of food." Now we've got dinner ladies in this country being sacked for giving kids food because they're not allotted and allowed to have food. Well, when you're not allowed to have food because your parents or something can't furnish a obligation, that's a problem. And that is food being used as a weapon, okay? And it's sad. So George was murdered, as far as I'm concerned, and it wasn't 3rd-degree murder. It was 1st-degree murder because that copper intended. His intent was to put and wedge his face on the tarmac, which is heinous anyway. Why, oh why, the police, even in this country, love planting you into the tarmac, face down with their knees on your back and possibly in the back of your neck. I've seen it. My friend Dean Ventura had exactly the same thing going on. Cockney Patriot saying George ain't dead, false flag. I'm not sure. I think he is. But I mean, look, none of us know. We just see what we see, right? The only time you're ever going to know something to be a truth is if you actually are there yourself and you're witnessing these things take place. So let's have a quick look this morning. What we was going to have a look at. Oh, that's it. We were talking about the track and trace application. You should see this start popping up in your screen now. So it says I'm not going to say the words in capitalised in block there. The app could help lift lockdown measures. And this is what we're all sold, right? We're always sold the truth and the lie. We're always sold it, how it works and when you can download it. Now, there are people saying that it will, if your phone goes into an iOS update, that the app will be automatically placed within it during that upgrade. So be careful. There are little Faraday cage wallets that you can buy for your mobiles, so when you take them out, but that blocks everything. All right. Morning, Witchy Woo. Hello, sweetheart. Lovely to see you. Or you can just choose either to switch it off, but then if you do switch it off, I'm on the understanding that they can still trace and track that SIM, that chip, because everyone has to have the mark of the beast, right? And all your mark of the beasts are a chip in the hand, a chip in the phone, a chip in your credit card, because you're all tracked and traced, okay? Get your old phones out. An old Nokia 3310 would be fantastic. In fact, I'm going to buy one. And we're also going to have a look at in Whitby yesterday. Whitby, the people come out of Whitby. They was out there in their thousands filling up their high street, which was a fantastic sight to see. So there are a few measures, or just leave your phone. And this is what I say. This is peculiar. The federal government in this country would go to such draconian measures to do this for a virus that's non-existent, because we're not throwing out a dead. just leave your phones at home or get yourself a 3310 or do whatever. But even if you turn it off and you put it in your pocket, I still think it has the capability of being tracked and traced, all right? When Britain is in lockdown, the government has been racing to find a way to ease restrictions. Of course, putting public safety first. Look, one solution is a contact tracing thing, and that can enable digital contacting on a large scale, tracing on a large scale. The government has revealed the app. I hope Dominic Cummings gets it. I hope he's the first one to download it, which is being tested on the Isle of Wight. David Cameron left his children at a pub a few years ago while Fishface was in office. He couldn't believe Brexit, could he? His face that next morning, my God, looked like he'd been smacked round the face by a wet cod or a wet mackerel at £6.50. It was like something very unsavoury would just been placed under his nose, right? But did David Cameron get a visit from the police? Yeah, I don't think so. Did David Cameron get a visit or a call by social services? Oi, Davey, baby. Yeah, who's that? Social services here for Westminster. Listen, son, we got valid reports and evidence that you've left your son at a pub and you got 20 minutes down the road before you realised that your bloody son weren't in the car. We can't pay a visit, son. There's a chance we're taking it to one of our private secret courts and we're going to take the kids off you. Did that happen? Remember, equality before the law is paramount and mandatory. No, it never. All right? It never happened. But you can bet your bottom dollar if you'd done the same. Yeah? Oh, police, we've got a kiddie here. The parents have just driven off about 20 minutes ago. Oh, hang on, they're back. They're back now. They've come to pick their cool. Can you imagine? Can you imagine a visit from the Gestapo? Yeah? Round at your door, kicking your door in with that red key that they carry. We're coming in with the full force of 4. Nah, mate. Unbelievable. But see, that's what I'm talking about. Equality before the law is paramount and mandatory. And equity, the maxim of equity is equity delights in equality. So equity delights in equality. That means we're all equal. It means we're all equal. All right. But we're not. We got some Joanne Chapman. Joe, it's really lovely to see you, sweetheart. 500 even. Exactly. I'll come back and share some of your comments. So anyway, look, we'll get to the nuts and bolts of this. They're downloading this trace and track system on the 27th of May. They're saying now that this won't be too far off. Guido Harding refused to put on a timeline of when the app would be launched, but apparently this is going to be downloaded once your phone goes into an iOS upgrade, which they control. It will be covertly placed onto your smartphone. Smartphones for dumb people makes me laugh. It's the truth, isn't it? I've got smart technology, for dumb people. You know, all these sat navs. No, we get in a car now. If we ain't got a sat nav, we have issue fit. We have meltdowns because we don't know where we're going. Where are you going? Put the sat nav. I haven't got a sat nav. What do you mean you've not got a sat nav? See, it's smart tech for dumb people. Years ago, we used to have little maps. We'd get a feel. We used to know where we're going. You know, it's crazy town now. It could pinpoint exactly who needs to be quarantined and who doesn't, making it a key to easing up social distancing measures. This is nuts. This is draconian, people. This is George Orwell, 1984. This is INSOC. This is you know. This is just outrageous. So beware the Trace and Track app, and I will, as a caveat, put that out there. If anyone's on my friends on my social media outlets and you do download this, please remove my details, because that's how this thing's going to work. And it's the phone that they're tracking and tracing, remember, not you. That's the truth. They're not tracking the phone. They're tracking the phone. They can't. There isn't any technology apart from unless you. And this is the danger of getting a microchip in your hand, right? Yeah. So we've got people in Holland and work in offices that say you know it's easier to have this cashless thing. Easier for you to get into work and people going, oh yeah, stick a chip in my hand. Can you imagine having a chip in your hand right now, right? Because they're talking about downloading this app that you can easily just leave your phone at home. And if you want to go out 10 square miles, have a walk and a jog, or go and meet people, bear in mind the police are bashing people over the head right now for distancing measures. There was something going off in Hyde Park as well last night. Apparently there was big armed coppers down there. We've got the Gestapo now set up and established in this country, ladies and gentlemen. Your public servants have machine guns. I do hope you realise that. So you can imagine having a chip in your hand. It tells you to stay home, quarantine. What are you going to do? Cut that chip out? I'd cut the chip out. I'd take 5 tins of special brew, followed by a chaser of vodka. I would tourniquet my arm like Rambo, and I would be digging into my hand and getting that chip out and throwing it down the toilet pan. That's what I would do. If anyone is struggling, emotionally worried about what is going on, Richard Granson and Richard Willett have a really good video. They're on the same page. What I'm going to do, we're going to start playing some videos, and I want you to listen, because you can all see my screen up in the background now, hopefully. You should be able to hear what we got going on as well. All right. So what I'm going to do is just come in here for now, and I'm just going to play this with no volume, so you can see the scenes that are going on right now in America. Living in America, I feel good. You should start to see that. Hang on a sec. Living in America. You should start seeing this. So, we're having a little freeze up again. It will come back, I'm pretty sure. Living in America, I feel good. Let's just wait a sec. We're having a little freeze up. Google Phone, sitting apps, Google top right, 3 dots, usage and sign is fantastic, UK Media. Let's just wait. I'm not sure whether you're getting this in real time. One of my devices is playing up a little bit here. Are you seeing this? Look, these are the Gestapo, man. You only need these kind of people when your people have broken down and descended into chaos and anarchy. If you lived in a utopia with a great democracy, you wouldn't need people like this, because this stuff won't be going on. I'm just going to shut this down on my tablet and then jump back into it and see whether we're back on. Right, so we're back on. You can see that UK Media, Google Phone, sitting at Google top right, 3 dots, usage and diagnosis, turn it off. Actually, I'm going to pop that comment up there in a second. So you're seeing this going on now. Twin Cities now under curfew. I tell you what, America is fastly descending into a civil war kind of situation, and they've pulled in their National Guard as well. Their National Guard has been pulled in America. It's quite sad to see. It's all jargon. They've been tracking us from day one, but it's unlawful now. People will consent. Exactly, Paul. Yeah. Settings. So Google Phone settings, app, Google top right, 3 dots, usage and diagnosis, turn it off. Fantastic. So we're seeing scenes here from America. This is going off. This is all aftermath of George Floyd's death. They've already raised, I think, the Minneapolis, trying to think, Springfield's police station. They've already destroyed that. I think that's already been razed to the ground. They've completely burned that out. And we're seeing this now descend into scenes of violence, and they've been using rubber bullets. They're all in DC as well. There's a load in DC right now. Let me come out, see if we can find some other stuff going on here this morning. I feel for the Americans, I really do. But at least they've witnessed George, what's gone on out there with George Floyd, and rather than just roll over, they've decided to stand up and say, no, we're not having this. Dangerous moment as senior scientist walls. Let's listen to the rubbish dribble on the British Buggering Corporation.
Dangerous moment.
Let's see what they have to say.
England's Deputy Chief Medical Officer, who urged people not to tear the pants, as he put it.
Oh.
Out of the loosened lockdown restrictions that will come into effect from Monday. Professor Van Tam today reminded people of how rapidly the disease can spread throughout the population. Many people have been tempted out by the warm weather once again today, as some members of the government's own SAGE advisory group spoke out against the pace at which changes to the lockdown are coming into effect. But the government announced a further 215 deaths recorded in the UK, bringing the total number of deaths of people who tested positive for the virus now
38,376 total deaths in UK. Now, I have people watching that are funeral directors, and I have spoken to funeral directors in general that are friends of mine. And I got into a bit of a debate last night with a friend of mine that I've known for over 25 years. And he said, it's to save lives. People have to stay at home to save lives. I said, well, if that's truly what you believe, that's up to you. That's your belief system. I said, but the difference between me and you is for the last 12 years, I have amassed the trust and friendship of thousands and thousands of people. All right. Now, within that, there are people from all walks of life, from road sweepers to police constables to funeral directors to plumbers to carpenters to hairdressers. You name it. I will have a friend out there somewhere that's into soliciting, law. I was chatting with one lady last night that works for Citizens Advice. And she come to me and put her heart on the line. I don't know why, but that's just what goes on. Now, I have many friends. I'm just going to turn this up a bit so you can hear a little bit more of it as well. I have many friends that talk to me and say, look, we are in the funeral industry per se, and we are seeing that there's a clever use of language, all right? Because I say the truth and the lie, governments seem to try and spin them in the same thing. Let's just come back into the chat room a second. So they are saying that the bodies are coming into the funeral directors having tested positive for the Rona 19, right? But it's just saying tested positive. It doesn't say died of. Now, whether you know or you don't know, the Rona virus has been around for a long time. You've seen it all on your bottles of disinfectant and all these other things. Treats Ronavirus. Okay, there's many strains of the Ronavirus. Now, these test kits they've been sending out to test for Ronavirus, they've been testing on all sorts of other things as well, like oranges and fruits and foods. And guess what? They've also been testing positive for Ronavirus 19. So I'm not so sure this is going down as it says it is. I really don't. And okay, it's saying there that 38,000 people, 376 people have died thus far in their news media outlet here, but that amount of people die each year from the common flu, which then turns into pneumonia. All right. Now, I did point out the other day that there are many suggestions that this is caused by, and whoever are getting the symptoms of this and having to go to hospital, that these are symptoms of coagulated blood. Now, whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just giving you stuff that people tell me, right? So you can make your own informed decisions. So the coagulated blood is what is causing all the problems with the lungs and causing the fluid on the lungs, right? And coagulated blood can be thinned down by using aspirin. So if any of you guys are getting symptoms of this, and this won't hurt you in any case, I would make sure that I've got a few bottles of Schweppes or Fever Tree tonic, because of quinine in that is fantastic for viruses. And I would also make sure that I've got some, and I don't like taking pharmaceuticals, and avoid them at all costs if I can. But I would suggest maybe you get some aspirin, which is being purported to have massive effects on having this in check. So let's just listen to what this woman has to say. And this is what bothers me, right? This woman here on the screen did have the mainstream narrative, did have everyone in her bed. The BBC have had everyone in their bed for years, because the BBC, the TV was the cheapest thing you could get on credit in the 70s. They all wanted you to have a TV box in your room, right? It was cheaper than a washing machine, a toaster, because we all used to go and get credit years ago and have these things on HP. And you'd pay a few pence or a few pound a month or a week to have a TV and stuff. But the TV was the cheapest, most affordable thing that you could get in your home. And that was because they wanted you to have one. They wanted you sat in front of that box, right? So this woman knows that majority of the people in this country sit in front of this little black box, right? Like this one I've got up here behind me. And she kind of controls the narrative of that. But all you get from these people is fear, 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 fear. That's all that these people are dribbling out, right? So you've got the coronavirus up there, this little Sputnik thing that looks like something made on Blue Peter. And she's saying here that, 38,376 people have passed away in this country of this thing. Because, and I'll tell you why they've come to these numbers, because they're fudging the deaths.
To 38,376. Our political correspondent, Chris Mason, has more.
Helens Bay Beach in County Down today. In Northern Ireland and in Scotland, groups are already allowed to gather outside.
Allowed?
Ireland and Wales will follow on Monday. New rules grant us more freedom, but require us to make more judgments about what.
Grant us more freedoms. The government grants you your freedoms, ladies and gentlemen. How lucky you to have this federal government that grants you your freedoms. A grant is a privilege. A grant can be given or taken away. And that's what I've learned in my life in this country, with all their paper system, driving licensing, certificates of insurance, certificates of qualifications, if nursing and all these different industries where you have a certificate to prove this and that. The problem is that can be given, and it also can be taken away. So I don't operate in that world no more. I don't operate in the world of grants, because they're not rights. So clearly just said there, granted your freedom by Doris Johnson. This is unbelievable.
Is safe. In Bournemouth, the lure of the beach, the challenge of social distancing. In York,
go on, boys.
A pint. And yes, exactly the same challenge. With the number of coronavirus cases falling, ministers say the time is right for a more liberal approach. But some of those advising our political leaders have concerns.
If we make multiple releases of the lockdown at the same time, we won't know what.
This guy is a professor, Callan Callum Semple, bless him, from the University of Liverpool. Now, this dude might be intelligent, right? He might have many letters and abbreviations after his name, but this doesn't guarantee you that this individual has common sense and that knows worldly things. All it's saying, this guy is intelligence. Now, let's not confuse intelligence with common sense here, ladies and gentlemen. Please.
What is causing the inevitable jump in cases? And we don't have an established test, track, and isolate
Inevitable,
process to follow these
in his
people up.
opinion.
So we're at a very risky point where we could take the lid off a pot that is still bubbling in places, and it risks overflowing in these places.
Regent's Park in London earlier, and Primrose Hill
Hey!
too, as the Labour mayors.
This is living, ladies and gentlemen. This is people living their lives, look.
Loosening the rules has come too soon.
Oh, whatever.
So at this afternoon's government news conference, I asked, what do you say to those scientists and others who say that you're easing the lockdown in England too quickly?
We haven't got that much headroom. That's why the Prime Minister has been clear that we need to proceed in a very cautious way.
I believe, and you'll recall I was at the podium when the disease activity was very high in the UK, and I said it's a very dangerous moment. I believe this is also a very dangerous moment. We have to get this right. The public in general to actually follow the guidance, don't tear the pants out of it, and don't go further than the guidance actually says.
Professor Van Tam knows how to turn a phrase and make a point. He was also asked directly about Dominic Cummings, the Prime Minister's most senior advisor, who, among other things, drove 50 miles to test his eyesight during the lockdown.
The rules are clear, and they have always been clear. In my opinion, they are for the benefit of all, and in my opinion, they apply to all.
Questions about Mr. Cummings keep coming. Questions about easing the lockdown will too. Chris Mason, BBC News.
Well, let's turn to matters of health then with our health correspondent Catherine Burns, who's with us now. And tonight, new guidance for those people considered extremely vulnerable.
Yeah, this is for anyone who's shielding in England. So these are the people who have
Shielding!
specific
I'm
medical conditions,
shielding!
which would mean that if they did get coronavirus, they'd be more likely to become very ill. There are 2.2 million people doing this in England right now. And if you think some of them will have had no face-to-face contact with other people since this started 10 weeks ago. But from tomorrow, the guidance is being tweaked in a small way, which could make a really big difference to their lives.
Oh, hello.
So they will be able to go outside with someone they live with. If they live alone, they'll be able to meet up with one other person. Now, this is only once a day, and they're not to go to shops or work or anywhere where it would be impossible for them to do social distancing. So why is this happening now? Well, the government says it's because the chances of getting infected have gone down. So when this all started originally, the chances of someone getting infected were about 1 in 40, they say. Now that's more like 1 in 1,000. The government also says it will look every few weeks at the restrictions to see what it can do to make life that bit more bearable for people who are shielding. The Prime Minister's thanked these people today. He says their patience and sacrifice has saved thousands of lives.
Catherine, thank you.
That lovely little smirk and smile there, eh? Beautiful. Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful there. That little the smile there. So today's really, I want to share all your comments because you're the reason why I come in here and do this. I don't do this for my own health benefit. I do this for the people of my country who I love very, very dearly. And I said this the other day, the BBC Three and all these other big media outlets, they're losing their grip, all right? Because the majority of this country are now seeing people for what it is. They're seeing this as what it is. And that we have now got people's journalism kicking off on all these different beautiful, beautiful platforms. And the media outlets know that they're losing it. They know that they're losing it, okay? They really, really do. Do we know anyone, do you know of anyone that's had this and died of it or had it? You can chuck that in your comments, all right? Because we need to get to the bottom of this. We need to know what the truth is. But all I know is that the mainstream are getting desperate. They have decided to put their platforms on social media, on YouTube. The BBC, Sky News, they're all out there. Morning, Trevor. Lovely to see you, darling. My gorgeous mate Trevor's in the room. He's looking like Clint Eastwood this morning, son. You never look shady to me. You look gorgeous, like that big old cigar in your mouth there. I watch UK column. Yeah, UK column is pretty good. Brian Garrison, Mike Robinson do a very thorough job on investigative duties, and they do. They've been going a long time. One of my friend's cousin died, not of the V, but they put CV19 on the death certificate, fudged up figures. Right, I'm going to leave this one up for a while. I'm going to leave this one up for a few seconds there for everybody to see that whilst we go and dig into a little bit more. So we don't need that. Let's shut that one down. Let me see if I can log in to Facebook, and then we'll go through and see what we can. Oh, actually, bear with me. We get today's upcoming bits and bobs on Facebook. If I can get into it, that is, and hopefully you'll be able to see the screen and you'll be able to say, enter an old password. Your password was changed on Tuesday. Let's have a go. You're going to let me in? Hey! Now, this is a profile I don't overly use, but let's. You should be able to see that coming up on your screen now. So we're going to have a little flick down, and we're going to see what stories are popping up here this morning. My mate Matthew Sanders laying in bed there. Look, lazy boy. No, I don't know anyone. My daughter's an SRN and was sent to work. Sent to work from home 3 weeks ago because they weren't busy at Preston. Right, I'm going to share that one as well. Look. Here we go. Joanne Chapman Ellis. No, I don't know anyone. My daughter is an SRN and was sent to work from home weeks ago because they weren't busy at Preston. She's back to work properly tomorrow. Right. Don't show your login date. Okay. We're in Facebook now anyway. Let's see. Here we go. Deaths yesterday, and Coralie is a good friend of mine. I know her personally, beautiful family. Deaths yesterday across Europe: Spain 2, Italy 37, Germany 24, France blah 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 blah, UK 324. There's no way we are ready to ease lockdown and open schools. Unbelievable. I'm baffled. RS aren't as useless or government callous, obviously. Whitby yesterday. I'm going to try and find the scenes from Whitby if I can. Whitby yesterday, they just rammed their high streets yesterday. They really did. We're not having a lot of luck here. Let me see, actually. Let's have a look and see if I can jump into Twitter quickly. Because I have been following Trumpy a little bit. And he's got some massive support on Twitter. Let's see if we can jump into Twitter a sec. Oh, no. I'll sort all this out later, and I'll be logged into my Twitter. Trump is escalating. No, we don't want to see none of that. Let's have a quick look at what's happening in America this morning. Oh, that's a weird looking thing. Mayhem in Minneapolis. Oh, I mean, I do feel for America. but at least, like I say, they've turned out. They've turned out at what's been going on. There was a situation the other day where there's this big glass building, and this big glass building, all of a sudden, this pallet of bricks had just been dropped next to the building, so that people could go and grab the bricks and do what they had to do. It's savage. So this is Minneapolis right now, USA. These people have now finally seen the tyranny that is upon them, and this will always happen. This would happen in this country, ladies and gentlemen, if we started to see the police abuse their powers to a point where they were literally killing us like that on the streets. And I do believe that could come. I do believe it will come. Dave, put in search engine Donald Trump on Twitter. Okay, mate. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's have a look. Let's see. Oh, I like your style. I like your style, darling. Right. That's fantastic. So what's President Trump saying today? Cracky. Now, I popped into this 3 days ago. 2-3 days ago. I logged back in to my Twitter, which I very rarely use. And at the time, Donald Trump had 50.5 million followers. But as we sit here now, and he's a master of Twitter, by the way, he's now got 80.8 million. The National Guard has been released in Minneapolis to do the job that the Democratic mayor couldn't do. Should have been used 2 days ago, and there would not have been the damage, and police headquarters would not have been taken over and ruined. Great job by National Guard. No games. And I agree with President Trump in as much as George Floyd's death, absolutely tragic. Could it have been averted? Yes, it could have, with proper law and order in judgment and mercy. But the descending into looting and the damage of all the buildings, what did that achieve? Nothing, apart from putting millions of people out of work and causing a lot of sufferance. What the protesters probably would have been better doing was to actually take over the police department and just kick the people out and sit in there and have their lunches until there was a mandate agreed to. So that if they did let the police back in, they wouldn't descend into these atrocities again, and they would start living and operating by the constitution of their country. And I'm sure if the people out there that would have done that, Trump would have actually probably supported them. Secondly, he was out at NASA yesterday when everyone descended on DC. At the White House to protest over George Floyd's death. What they didn't realise, the majority of them, was that President Trump was down at NASA witnessing the American leadership in space. Apparently, they're now putting new stuff up there. So Trump is very big on Twitter. This was 7 hours ago. Let's see what else he has to say. President Trump on today's SpaceX launch.
With this launch, the decades of lost years and little action are officially over. A new age of American ambition has now begun. Past leaders put the United States at the mercy of foreign nations to send their astronauts into orbit. Not anymore. Today, we once again proudly launch American astronauts on American rockets, the best in the world, from right here on American soil. Those of us With this launch, the decades of lost years and
Right, so clearly he's been down at SpaceX at NASA, launching stuff up into whatever space is. Personally, space for me is a debate I don't really want to get into. Has man been into space? Has man walked on the moon and all that? That's another chat for another day. I have my opinions on that. Hello, Pauline Marsh. Lovely to see you, darling. Welcome. Sunday morning, the 30. What did I say? It was the 30. 30 is I think it's the last day of the month. I do. Thanks, Joanne. Oh, there's some lovely stuff going on. Deb Star, I never knew I could do that, mate. You guys do me some fantastic favours. I put out a message the other day. What platform can I use swiftly and easily to use on this, like what we're doing now? And Stuart popped out. He said, Dave, get on this StreamYard, and this is what we're chatting on now. So you guys are invaluable. I want to give you all a massive round of applause for all of you that have tuned in to me over the years, for all of you that tune in now, your relentless dedication in wanting to bring back the truth to your country and around the world. I bow down to you. You are all awesome people. The only reason I asked, my daughter-in-law works at Eastbourne Hospital, and she's well into this. She won't go out. I haven't seen my son all year because she won't come down. It is a fear-based. The vibration that we have in this country right now is very, very low. The vibration of the people is generally fear. But what are we doing when we're in fear? We're not living. And the purpose of coming into this world is to live, right? Trevor, that's a shame. I haven't seen my son and their baby twice for a short time in 12 weeks, and I haven't seen her. I think she knows. I will ask her questions, says Joanne. Fantastic. Trump has come out with some great tweets calling out Antifa and the radical left. He has. Trump's working magic, people. You can't. And here's the thing: people can question, like, oh, the stuff Dave Richard, but who's going to question Trump when he puts out, oh, you're fake news? No, I'm not taking your question. You're all fake news. All you're trying to do is strip this administration down, do this and that. It sends reverberations around the world. Fox News is fake news, and it's fantastic. I just wish President Trump. We might have to play the American national anthem in a second because I'm getting excited. President Trump, I just wish you would call out the BBC and call them fake news. That would be the icing on the cake for me, President Trump. If anyone can get a message to Trumpy, actually, I might Twitter him and say, Trumpy, can you do us a favour, son? We'll have a game of golf someday if you fancy. Will you call out the BBC for being fake news? And that would just put the icing on the cake for me. I've been watching you for a long time, and I signpost people to your videos. I follow Cassie and Jamie too. Fantastic, Joanne. It's lovely. What's Shirley saying? Hi, Dave. Been having problems with my live chat. Shirley, are you seeing this right now, Shells? Are you? Paulie R. Hello, Paul. Lovely to see you. So, he's got his funny faces up there. Let's go back up through the comments and see if we've got any decent nuggets up there that we can share. And Kaylee's, Joanne's made a fantastic point here. I love Trump's press secretary, Kaylee. She shuts down the media. She's fantastic. She's boom, boom, boom. She is something else. I agree with you. That Kaylee woman that works for the Trump administration. And here's the thing, right? I'm trying to think what celebrity the other day come out and said, oh, it was what's her name? She's a singer, not Shania Twain. What's her name? Blonde hair girl. That one, the one that sang that song. Accompany me in a minute. What's her name? God, I know one of you is going to comment on my talented singing there. I don't get done for copyright. That's all I'm saying. What's her name? She's come out and said, we will vote Trump out on his second term. Very bold statement. we've had all these celebrities come out before. We had George Clooney, President Trump. Actually, I might have to play some of that. And the irony. Taylor Swift, Stuart, yeah, gorgeous geezer you are. It's not Madonna, not old Madge. She's lost the plot. They've all lost the plot since they've been on this lockdown, haven't they? All been doing these weird and wonderful videos. I'm like, whoa, what's going on with you? And some of their singing. I've seen Gary Barlow, bless his heart, doing the crooners on YouTube with Cliff Richard. Cliff Richard spinning around, almost falling over, obviously needed his Zimmer frame. But obviously that don't look good in the camera. Cliff almost went. I see him spin around his bathroom. I don't know if Jimmy Savile had left something on the floor, but he was going over. I'm thinking, don't fall over, Cliff. The hospitals are shut. You ain't going to get your hip replaced. But yeah, Taylor Swift come out and said, Donald Trump, we're going to vote you out. I can't see that happening. But she is a long list of other celebrities that have fallen from grace. George Clooney, President Trump ain't going to get in. If he ever gets into this country, I'm going to leave this country and go somewhere else. Where's George living right now? Exactly the same place. Angelina Jolie said the same kind of things. And if President Trump gets into office, I'm going to leave the country or eat me pants. And Bob's your uncle. They're still there. None of them have left, not as far as I know. So Taylor Swift, join the queue, join the club. Unfortunately for you, I do think you're going to be eating chips, eating your own words, because I don't think that President Trump is leaving office anytime soon. Let me just tell you. Why? Because there's a massive separation between the celebs and the normal plebs that live in America, a bit like our country. But what you got to understand is that the plebs voted for Trump. The people vote for Trump. And what they voted for, it wasn't the fact it was Trump, that individual. It was the fact that he represented something different. All right? It could have been Coco the Clown that popped up from nowhere, that wasn't part of the cabal at that point in time. They'd have voted for Coco. You'd see Coco the Clown running America right now. And I'm not suggesting that Trump is anything like Coco the Clown. Donald Trump is actually a very clever man. Joanne's has put a comment up in here, lack of adrenochrome. We know adrenochrome is on the market for sale. We know where adrenochrome comes from. It's disgusting. And I hope all these people that are involved in all this deep state, dark stuff go to hell. I really do. And we need to take and play a part in sending them there. De Niro. Robert De Niro's waiting. No, it's not him. They control. Yeah, look. They control the TV. They do. But they're all eating humble pie. And if I can make a humble pie and send it out to George Clooney, Angelina Jolie, and say, didn't go what you wanted, did it? They all laugh. And people that were going on to show saying President Trump's going to be the future president of America, they just, what? You're chatting about, you crazy man, get out of here, you mofo. What are you playing at? And then next thing, when the presidential elections come, Trump won by a landslide. Yeah, so you have a loose cannon running America right now. And I you know what? I think it needs it. I think it needs to be done. Trump is certainly not overly controllable. He probably does follow protocols that have been put in place, but I tell you, when he's on his media platforms, he's unleashed. Twitter being the prime example. I think that's his most favourite. And when Twitter come out and pulled him the other day, fact-checked him. They fact-checked the president of America. What did they do? Trump went, right, I'm going to shut you bad boys down, because he has the power to do that. He has the power to shut these people down. He just shut it down. And there is strong suggestion that the internet may be going down for a time period. So just prepare yourself, ladies and gentlemen, to go back to the real world, all right? Okay? So, yeah, that could be happening. Who knows? Let's see what other stuff Trump is bashing. Let's maybe go back, and because obviously we might try and get some other stuff that he's tweeting out about what's been going on. Live POTUS delivers remarks at Kennedy Space Center. Let's see. Let's New York's finest be New York's finest. There is nobody better, but they must be allowed to do their job. The National Guard has been released in Minneapolis to do the job that the Democrat mayor couldn't. We've done that one. Donald Trump, this guy here, I'm not too sure who he is. I'm not too sure who this guy is either. Breitbart News. I don't know if any of you know Breitbart News. Breitbart News is a pretty good, solid platform for getting your truth. They seem to be hitting the mark that a lot of others don't, as well as RT. But RT are very picky. Russia Today News, they're very picky on the stuff that they pop out. Right, here we go. So the White House, the death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. Amen, President Trump. It has filled Americans all over the country with horror, anger, and grief. Let's have a quick listen.
Anger and grief. George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. It has filled Americans all over the country with horror. The death of George Floyd on the streets of Minneapolis was a grave tragedy. It should never have happened. It has filled Americans all over the country with horror, anger, and grief. Yesterday, I spoke to George's family and expressed the sorrow of our entire nation.
How many presidents, past and future, would have taken the time to speak to George Floyd's family? This guy's a legend.
Nation for their loss. I stand before you as a friend and ally to every American seeking justice and peace. And I stand before you in firm opposition to anyone exploiting this tragedy to loot, rob, attack, and menace.
Amen.
Healing, not hatred, justice, not chaos, are the mission at hand.
Amen.
The death of George.
I agree with President Trump there wholeheartedly. This man spoke to the family of George Floyd. Can you imagine David Cameron taking that initiative? Trump done it off his own back. Do you still have your Trump mug day? Oh, yes. Oh, Joe, do I have my Trump mug? Yeah, you best believe it.
Has nothing to do with justice or with peace. The memory of George Floyd is being dishonored by rioters, looters, and anarchists. The violence and vandalism is being led.
Right, so there is an element to this, right? Whereas, let's just come back into the chat room. I know that agent provocateurs, yeah, I do have my Trump mug, darling. Yeah, I do. Agent provocateurs from the police have had an active part in the rioting and the looting in Minneapolis. We have the evidence of people with beanie hats on with wires and microphones in their ears and coming down their neck to whatever device they've got. So we know, we have the absolute evidence that agent provocateurs have been involved in this rioting and looting side of this element in Minneapolis. But President Trump is right. Protesting and justice cannot descend into violence, and this is the reason why the National Guard has been brought in. And I understand people's frustrations, I really do. But there's no honour in that. There is no honour in any of that. And like I say, the people of Minneapolis and surrounding areas would have been better just to come together, and they have had the numbers. This is the sad part about this. They have had the numbers. They really have. And they should have just done this peacefully. They could have taken over their police departments. And I'll give you an analogy. If 100,000 people in my country, England, said, right, we've had enough. A bit like the scenes of Whitby yesterday, right? Whitby High Street. Whitby is a beautiful part of the world, let me tell you. the sun was out. Their high street was rammed. There must have been 20,000 people there, at least, I think. If they decided to go and into their local village or town to their police station and say, right, listen, we're not happy with you lot. Out you come, toot sweet, 10 minutes, grab your stuff, you're out. We're taking over peaceful assembly of this under Article 61 of Magna Carta. We're taking this building back. This is our building. And I've said before, the people's buildings should be the people's buildings. They're your buildings. They should not be private corporations. The police would go, we've dropped one here, and they would come out of that building. They would. Because you're not going to argue with 100,000 people. You're just going to go, yeah, well, look a bit, man. If you ever see 100,000 people all stood quietly, peaceably, eating their packed lunches, looking sharp, you'd go, cool, that's powerful. Because silence is power. You've all sat at your school tables years ago in your classrooms, and your teacher takes you for detention afterwards and he wants to have a chat with you. You'll see that you're sat the other side and you're squirming around on your seat, right? And that teacher will go, well, so-and-so happened today, blah, 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 blah. And what you got to say about it? And they just sit there and they go. And you descend into complete, because that's the power that silence after that loaded question has. And that's what we got to do as a people. We have to do that. We have to take back control of our country because we have a private foreign corporation running it all right now. The far left uses blacks to fight their battles. It's sad. It's really quite sad to witness. Joanne said, "I love Trump." We all love Trump. I do dig Donald Trump. I really do. I have to say, I think he's a bit of a player. So let's see what he says.
Hey guys, if you're struggling with Japanese,
Shut up, idiot! All these ads, they drive you mad, don't they? Let's.
Unfolding on the streets of Minneapolis, protesters right now are rioting over the death of an unarmed black man in police custody. We'll go straight to our correspondent Tim Avia, who's been in the middle of all this chaos all morning. Tim, you've had a tough few hours. Authorities are very worried about what's going to happen when it turns dark. Do you sense things are about to escalate?
Yeah, and we've just had...
Oh, yeah, on my toes, son. On my toes.
As you can see, they've set this car on fire. There's been a few significant developments since we last spoke. The mayor has declared a state of emergency here in Minneapolis to deal with what's unfolding. Having said that, still there's no sign of any police here, and everyone is just acting without fear as they go around rioting, looting, doing whatever they feel like. The other thing is we heard reports, and the local prosecutor from Minnesota came out and said that there was other evidence that would not support a criminal charge against those 4 officers involved in the death of George Floyd. Now, since then, after that, 90 minutes later, he released a statement saying he misspoke. So clearly, authorities are still looking at that case. Obviously, fears about what the crowds here would do once they heard that news. So that is the latest situation what we have. We were also told all those 4 officers have invoked their Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. Now, people are firing fireworks into the crowd. That is why you're seeing people disperse. And going over here, there are still people looting the stores, carrying goods out from these all these shops that are around. So that's the situation. As we said this morning, for people who haven't seen, there was a very violent altercation when a man was stabbed by another man. Then police had to come in. It took them about 20 minutes to come out and try to get these people out to hospital. They were set upon by the crowd who threw bricks, they threw rocks, they threw whiskey bottles, and the police responded with stun grenades and tear gas, eventually managing to get out. The situation now, though, is the crowd is sort of just in a lull. As night sets here, there is still an air of expectancy that things are going to continue throughout this evening. Protesters have told us this city will continue to burn until those 4 police officers are charged but that is going to take quite some time before that happens. So it's going to be a very long night here in Minneapolis.
So Tim, catch your breath. We're going to stay with your pictures there because it's really quite extraordinary. For viewers who aren't aware of the detail behind this story, George Floyd was arrested by 4 police officers earlier this week. When he was arrested, a police officer put his knee to his throat. George Floyd screamed that he couldn't breathe and he passed out. A few hours later, he died in hospital. Those 4 police officers have been sacked, but there are now questions about whether they should face criminal charges. There's a lengthy racial history here in Minnesota, and particularly in Minneapolis. And where Tim is right now at the moment, you can see that the tension and the escalation and the emotion is just extraordinary. There's a lot of police anger at the moment. And Tim, are you seeing any police officers on the ground at all? There is talk as well of the National Guard being called in.
No, there are no police here at all. Before, the police station's just over here. There were armed police on the route before, but they've now disappeared. And the crowd, as you can see, they are not concerned at all about any unlawful activity. Now, there's different elements to this crowd. We are seeing a lot of people, particularly over at the police station, are being very peaceful protesters. They are really upset about, obviously, what happened to George Floyd. There are many people also who are upset about what's happened, but are acting a lot more, they're letting out their anger a lot more than the other people who are being quite peaceful. There is also a small element here who are just here to cause some trouble. They're the ones primarily who are doing a lot of the looting, a lot of the stealing, and we don't know why they set this car on fire. Everyone we've spoken to said, it just felt like a good idea at the time. There's no one actually knows why it's been set on fire, but there are plenty of people here getting pretty angry at this point, and the anger has really grown ever since that stabbing incident, which took place a couple of hours ago. Since then, that's when the mood of the crowd has intensified a lot. There was a bit of a lull earlier this afternoon when things sort of quietened down a bit, but that is no longer happening. And now the looting is still going on. You're still seeing people wheel out goods from the shops. It's hard to believe there's anything actually left in there.
Tim, we have some vision and a bit of what happened about an hour or 2 hours ago when you were live, when we saw rocks thrown at a police car. We saw a man stabbed. We're just trying to get our control room to get that bit of information ready so we can play it to our viewers of what happened around 2 hours ago. You were caught in the middle of that, but just talk us through what happened.
Yeah, so it all started as we drove into this car park here just near the police station. We could hear a man screaming, and we looked over and there was a brawl breaking out, and you can see that guy had gone down, he'd been stabbed. There was another man who allegedly, here we go, something's happening now. Seeing a few explosions come from that car. We've already seen the petrol tank and all the tyres explode, but someone's saying here there are fireworks they're throwing into the car now. You can see all sorts of things are being thrown on there to keep this inferno going. So going back to this morning, we saw that man stabbed. The alleged attacker was apprehended by another man at gunpoint. He was kept there until police arrived. It took police about 20 minutes to actually come in. They were very fearful about approaching the situation, given the level of distrust between the people here and those police. So eventually they came in and they were under fire. As soon as those officers came in, they were having objects hurled at them, projectiles hurled at them. They fired stun grenades and tear gas to get everyone back. And when that happened, they carried the injured people limply into the back of police cars and then retreated down the street.
It was a murder.
And they were retreated down the street under attack from the crowd who were throwing rocks at them, throwing everything. As they did that, police fired stun guns out the window. They didn't stop to try to arrest anyone. So that's the situation here. You see, by the people coming around us and yelling at us. Excuse me, sir. There's a lot of people here getting quite upset and emotional. They're not trying to threaten us at all, but they really want to get their message across. They really want to put their point forward. They're more yelling at the camera as opposed to being aggro at us. But just a lot of anger, a lot of emotion here on the streets today.
Okay, Tim, we'll leave it there. Thank you. Meanwhile, hundreds of protesters are marching on the streets of Los Angeles. Let's go to our correspondent, Alexis Stage. Lexi, what's it like there?
Today we're outside LAPD headquarters in downtown Los Angeles. And look, obviously, relative to Minneapolis, are pretty peaceful here. But they have these barricades here. You can see the police have formed a line here to hold the line because they pushed this barricade down a little earlier. And look, they have been chanting, and obviously you can feel the passion and the anger even though it is, as I said, a lot more peaceful than Minneapolis. These police here behind this line, the police chief of Los Angeles, is actually here and keeping an eye on what is going on, as is all these protesters. You can see people have been actually talking to the media. I'm just going to get some distance here. People have been actually, you can see the crowds here approaching the media, and I must say, getting a bit antagonistic. We're here obviously just covering what their views are and their protest, and they've been turning on us. I must say, I've been called a white supremacist and asked why I'm here. So there is some agitation, there is a lot of passion, but I think most importantly what this demonstrates is that this is an issue and a very sensitive political issue that the entire country here in the US is very passionate about. There is a history, particularly in Minnesota, of police killings. And you can tell here in California, people are really upset about this as well, as they are in New York. We've seen protests there today. We saw protests in Memphis overnight. So this really is a country united in their demands for answers to be, as I said, things a bit more peaceful here, but certainly you can feel the passion and the anger amongst them.
Okay, Lexi, we'll let you go. Stay safe. Thank you.
Right. Scenes from what's going on, and it's not good. My heart bleeds for America right now, but this is what happens when you kill people in full view. By the way, I mean, let's not be under any illusion that they've not been dying in the cells out of everybody's eye and ears, but now they've decided to come out. And I said quite a few weeks ago that this New World Order is coming out in full force and showing the world what the hell is going on. And it's now, I think, a situation. I don't agree with this. I don't agree with this, but I understand it. I desperately don't get this, but I understand why they're doing it. I do. I truly do understand why they're doing it, because this is the melting pot. This is the tipping point. We knew that we was going to descend into all of this. I mean, the Bible tells us what will happen in the end times. George Floyd, the incident with George, was just a catalyst. The top of the cream on the top of the milk. That's what this was. America, their people have been in such disparity for such a long time. We have a situation in this country where our elderly people, they have a yearly situation where it's, what do they do? Do they heat their homes or do they eat? And we have people dying of hypothermia because of this wicked federal governmental system that we have, and that's all that we're seeing now. This is what we're seeing. This is why people have come out like this, is because they know that these big corporations are the ones that have been shafting them. They really do. So look at the weather. We're about to get attacked from every side. Going to be a very strange year. It is. I mean, the Ryder Cup. I'm quite an avid golfer. They're now talking about the Ryder Cup. There's going to be no spectators there. Well, that's not till September, so get used. She's a reporter. The virus don't touch her. Exactly, Jesus Jones. Love it to see you. Love it to see you. Thanks for tuning in. Which virus is that, Stuart? Oh, this is ironic. This is fantastic. So, people, I'm enjoying my platform this morning. We've been on here an hour and 35 minutes already. Can you believe that? Fair play to YouTube. They've been touchwood so far. God bless them. They've not been messing with my streams. And that's all good. That is all good. So, yeah, be mindful of this test and trace. The trials are on the Isle of Wight. people who who voluntarily report their symptoms will be bought a testing kit within 24 hours, because the government want that, don't they? The thing is, they can bring this track and test app in for this Rona 19, but they can't bring a test and trace app in to find paedophiles and child rapists, which is probably one of the same thing. So this goes with their narrative. The government's narrative has always been about controlling the populace and having complete control and domination over them, right? Animal Farm, where the pigs run the farm. Has anyone ever seen Animal Farm? Let's show you. And I'm not talking about the porn movie that was out years ago that was disgraceful. And I mean, I know people that used to watch it. I was like, no, for me. Right, so here we have, right, Animal Farm. And this is what we're all living in, ladies and gentlemen. This is what we're all living in.
So, the dreadful regime enforced by a ruling class of pigs was about to collapse. Coming from the big Animal Farm on the east side, more than half a century ago, the ideology had spread out like a plague, and now it was done. It had ran its course. How did the communist system spread? There was a big, cruel war, and then upon its ending, while normal, life-loving animals were celebrating the end of the madness, the leaders of the biggest farms in the world met somewhere in a place called Balta. And on a piece of wood, they carved a line dividing the world into two sides. For achieving peace, you say? Not quite. Rather for freely exercising their dominance in the world, each on their side.
They look pretty free, them goats, don't they? And the sheep, look, they're all free.
As a totalitarian regime, the communism could not maintain a sustainable economic system. Hence, the productivity declined dramatically. There was a terrible food shortage for all working animals. The living
they look really free. Look, the chickens, the sheep, the goats.
But above all, the terror regime imposed by the pigs against those with a different opinion than theirs was paralyzing any kind of opposition.
Animal Farm, I tell you, Animal Farm is where we're at, ladies and gentlemen. For sure, we are. It's people seem to think they're free. Look, the horse looks fairly free. The cows, the chickens, they look fairly free, and they're guarded by. And these dogs here, they're the Rottweilers with the collars on. That's the police. That's your police right now. Truthfully is. Oh, there's your piggy owners. Look up the top there. You do what we say. You have your freedoms. Now crack on. There's Boris Johnson up the top there. Look, with Dominic Cummings just down by his left-hand side. Boris has got his black jacket on with his war medals. The damn piggies, greedy swines, exactly. Look, oh yeah, that's us lot. There's the police. Animal Farm. If you're not seeing the film Animal Farm, and I'm not talking about the pervy one either, maybe a good thing to go and do. Golf, why ruin a good walk? Only kidding, I'm not played for years. Yeah, sometimes it is like that. Sometimes it is. But, I mean, my local golf course that I'm a member of, it's the panic that's set in over this COVID stuff is, oh, everything's shut down. I mean, this plays right into the hands of the UK government, let me tell you. And the UK government's a private foreign corporation. Can you imagine someone from the 1920s coming back here today? Send me back. Yeah, you best believe. That's ironic. That is so true. They wouldn't be able to cope with it. I've said that before. If you dug up some of our ancestors and brought them back to what's going on today, they'd be saying, "No, mate, I'm going back. I don't want to be here no more." They would go. So no one witnessing, no doctor taking results. What's that all about? Paul saying, so no one witnessing, no doctor taking the results. How do they work? I don't know. I don't know. But that's a very true statement, Jesus Jones. If you brought back people that were from the 20s and all that day, and you showed them the way life is today, well, back in the 20s, most in this country had firearms, sidearms. After the wars, the lads come back, they kept their sidearms, and it was that little bit of blued steel there's quite a bit of liberty and freedom in that blued steel. Even who was it said it before he passed away, protecting the Second Amendment in America? He was Moses in Charlton Heston. Charlton Heston, I think, passed away of Alzheimer's or something like that. But Charlton Heston, on his very last address to the people, he stood up at a convention for patriots, and he turned around and said, "There's a lot of liberty in a piece of blued steel. There is." And we're all being bashed over the head now because the police have all the weapons, but they're foolhardy because there's one country in the world you don't pick on, and that's England. You don't pick on the English, the people of this country, and beat them like peasants, because trust me, when they descend and turn against you, the public defenders, you are going to stir up one massive sugar storm. All right. So if anyone that's out there watching me in Never Never Land that's from the system, from the police, take due warning that if you keep bashing the people of this country over the head, keep causing what you're doing, they will turn on you like a pack of wolves, and you won't like the violence that they make out on you. And I don't want to see that. I do not want to see the people of this country descend into anything like that. I really don't. But if you carry on pushing them like this with this lockdown stuff, and you keep taking their stuff away, and you keep taking their ability to earn a living and stuff, which they've believed in for so many years, they've all believed in this system, and now you've took it all away. Well, you watch them descend on you. Stuart James, gorgeous, nice to see you. Put it in the bin, Paul. What we're chatting about here? What am I missing? Oh, they must have DNA data bank to confirm the results. Put it in the bin. Yeah, I don't blame you. Why is it when you're having a perfect round of golf, you go to pot when you're too over water? It's psychological warfare. You don't think about the water. It's a bit like Neo with the spoon. Here's what I'm gonna. Let's have a quick look here at a few scenes from The Matrix before I disappear and go and carry on with a few bits and bobs. And let's have a look, see if we can find the spoon scene. I want to play this one to you. This is powerful, man. Save £200 with Octopus Energy. Right, so before I start this, just want to get it maximized a second. Right, so The Matrix, beautiful, beautiful film. Watch what goes on here. The solar's going very good, Trev. We've been having some I've been doing I've still got 45 panels to fit. But I think at the moment I'm doing about over 20 kilowatts a day, easy.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends. It is only yourself.
Amen.
The Oracle will see you now.
So that's really powerful. That is really powerful. Can anyone, for starters, tell me what date that Neo's passport expired in the film The Matrix. Beautiful film, by the way. He was going through passport control, and his passport was flashed on the screens in the film The Matrix. Can anyone give me? Hope you're on laters. I threw my TV out. God bless you, UK media. Hey, it's good throwing the TV out. Turn the TV off. It's a dangerous thing. Yuri Geller. Have a lovely day, gorgeous. I'm going to be going very shortly in a second. I'm going to get myself some breakfast. Don't bend the test kit, bend yourself. Exact, Paul. I'm telling you, you got it down, son. You got it down. Perfect. Don't bend the test kit, bend yourself. Amen. Good film, but wasn't it created by communists? Who knows? I don't know. But they have to tell you, they have to give you the truth. What's my horse doing on my grass? My God. Does she know he's out? Hang on. I'm going to have to go because my horse is running around my garden. It's unbelievable. Peeps, thanks for tuning in this morning. As always, you are all awesome. And I thank you for your time and your courage for standing up. And God bless you all. I might be back with you a little bit later today. And keep the faith, stay strong. And remember, the government is your enemy. All right. And I truly mean that.